Let's check in with the doc really quick, see what he has to say about this.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
Alright, that's right, we don't. Alright, guys, hey, here we are. As it going to be said, out in front of us is Lake Union. I just want to say, as we head out into the lake, we are going to go through this little channel here. Another one of our quiet zones. A lot of people live on their boats here. I got to be courteous. I got to stay off the mic. That being said, though, I actually have a question for you guys, which is this. What do you say, guys? You guys want to go in slow or fast? Fast! All right, then. Slow it is. Can't forget the most important part, though, right?
I thought he was going to put on a snorkel.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, welcome to Lake Union. Welcome to the water portion of our tour today. How was that? What'd you think? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, hey, it worked. Now that we're out here, I always like to start out with some, some pretty basic stuff. We are out on Lake Union. We've said that a couple times now. They call it that because it unites two other larger bodies of water. To the east, that way, is Lake Washington, a very large lake over there. To the west, of course, is the Puget Sound and the Pacific Ocean. This lake is also not that deep. The average depth here is only 34 feet. Yeah, and at Seamus Point, it's only about 40 foot deep. And how about this? Anybody know if it's saltwater or freshwater in here? It is freshwater. I heard that. And so actually how that's accomplished, kind of interesting. There's a lock system down at the end of the shipping channel. The locks function a bit like a bathtub. Also really quick look. Seaplane over there on our right. Do you see that? Coming in for a landing, it looks like. Not uncommon to see several of those while we're out here. With any luck, we might get a better view of one taking off or landing. Most of them do that down in the south section of the lake. Yeah, but I always got to point them out when I see them because they are really cool. Anyway, the locks, like an elevator for boats, fill up water, drain it out again. They let ships in and out of the channel down there into this lake without mixing the salt water with the fresh water. And actually, how that works out, we're about 30 feet above sea level right now out here on this lake. Kind of interesting, I always thought. To our right, you guys see Mystery Bay and Horizon, two very large fishing vessels. I like to talk about fishing while we're out here too. It's a pretty big deal. It's actually the 5th largest industry in Washington State. There's over 700 fishing vessels that anchor right here in Seattle, including, how about this? You guys ever watched The Deadliest Catch? Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Those crab fishing vessels from Alaska. Many of them anchor in Seattle during their off-season. majority of those ships you find at a place called Fisherman's Terminal, which is just down the shipping channel a little ways before you get to the locks I was talking about. Now, though, on our right, coming up on Gasworks Park over here. Okay, so that is a park that we're looking at right there. Very popular piece of real estate here. Quick history behind that. It started out as a coal gasification plant back in 1906. One of 1,400 at one point in time across the country until the 1950s. They all shut down, including that one. They just became obsolete. So the city of Seattle bought the land, and in 1975 they converted it into the park we see today. It was the very first ever industrial site public park conversion in the country. And we're going to give these guys a wave on our left. Another party bus over there. What you can see there, that part of the factory is about 15% of the original plant. So they didn't tear down most of it. They got to about what was left standing over there. They took a step back. They figured, hey, why not count this as ours, right? Let's leave it out. It sounds like less work. Very glad they did. I always thought it was very cool looking over there, very unique. One last thing that I wanted to say about that is that you happen to go over there on the 4th of July, you'd be in that park with about 50,000 other people who will all go there to watch the fireworks. What they do here, I think, is very cool. They have a barge come out to the middle of the lake, so and they shoot the fireworks right off that barge. So you get a great view from right over there at Gasworks. It's pretty awesome. Okay, with that, guys, I always like to take a little bit of a step back right around now. We're out here on the water, but just like no one else out here, I always like that. I just figured maybe you guys want some time just to take some photos and stuff, just enjoy the scenery for a little while. I'm going to give you some free time. Obviously, a beautiful view of the city skyline coming up on our left. I'm going to play some music when you guys take your photos and stuff. Also, if you guys need to stand up for a second to maybe take a photo of the Central Lakes or something, that's okay. While we're out here on the water, that's all right. We're pretty full, be mindful of other people, that's all I'd say. Yeah, like I said, I'll get my music going. You guys do what you want. The next thing I'll talk about in just a couple minutes will be the shipping channel. It'll probably be one up, right? Really quick, you might be able to see a blue bridge down there. It's a drawbridge. It's closing right now. I want to catch it while it's closing still. I'll talk more about that in a second. So really quick, to our right, guys, down that way, that is the shipping channel I've mentioned once or twice. The first bridge we took on the way over here, Aurora. Second bridge, the one that we just saw closing, is the blue one. It's called the Fremont Bridge. Not really that surprising to see it opening and closing. It's actually the busiest drawbridge in the country. During the summer months when there's a lot of boat traffic through here, it opens and closes on average 35 times a day. It is very low to the water over there. You can probably see that. You might imagine why. Further down that way, you find Fisherman's Terminal with all those anchored fishing vessels. Eventually, you make it down to the locks as well. I mentioned those. If you want to see how they work, maybe they interest you, you can go down there. They've got a little park and a museum. Park Ranger will take you around, show you how they work for free if you'd like. Now, though, we're going to go over and see. We'll be there in like 30 seconds. We're just about there. We'll be seeing Seattle's most famous movie sites. So you guys all know what movie I'm talking about? Sleepless in Seattle. You guys are entirely correct. The floating home from that movie is off on our right-hand side right now. If you look out to the right in front of us just a little bit, you see there's a bunch of anchored sailboats. The big waterway cruise ship is about to pass in front of it. It's actually the very first house to the right of those anchored sailboats. Well, right there on the water is the one with the blue-gray siding, dark green trim, and there's one window on the second story. That little cruise liner over there is passing in front of it right now. Yeah, great view, right? A couple things that I like to say about that, though. One, Sleepless in Seattle was recently named by the American Film Institute as one of the top 10 romantic comedies of all time. The other thing is that the house itself over there has changed hands a few times since the movie debuted back in 1993. And I've heard that most recently it sold for over $2.5 million. A lot of money, right? And whoever bought it probably didn't realize that 50 ducks were going to drive by every day, right? Yeah, you guys all look like you're pretty good on pictures. Cool. We're going to start to putz our way back across the lake now at this point in time. It is always around now that I like to ask, purely out of curiosity, anybody on board happen to be celebrating anything today? Any, like, birthdays going on, anniversaries, divorces, anything like that? All right, well, it is Memorial Day weekend, right on. I like it. Thanks for coming along with me today. Wish the weather was a bit nicer, but it stopped raining, so I don't know, things are looking up, right? A couple things as we head back across the lake that I'd like to say. Well, one, a couple buoys over there on the right. You might see those. Basically, there's two yellow buoys on this side of the lake. There's two on the opposite end. Between those 4 points, there's no speed limit. You're allowed to max out your boat. Everywhere else here on this lake, same with the channel, there's a very strict speed limit of 7 knots. This lake is relatively small, very residential, very commercial. It's not for water sports. Lake Washington to the east is much larger. There is no speed limit over there. When the weather gets nice, you want to move like water skiing, that kind of thing you can do over there. The other thing, I always get asked about the building up on the hill over there. So maybe you saw that, maybe you're wondering what it is. It is a church. It's called St. Mark's Episcopal Cathedral. It's kind of locally known as the Holy Box. And it's up there on Capitol Hill is where it's built. Look, there's a seaplane. We're right up against the city skyline. Just took off, just got off the water. Yeah, it's a little bit better view. Who knows, maybe they'll fly right over our heads. They oftentimes do. Yeah, let's watch that for a second. The church is built up on Capitol Hill. There it goes here. Yeah, always very cool. Kenmore Air is the company associated with those, located over there in South Lake Union. One more thing, really quick. To our left now, the big bridge, Aurora, we took on the way over here. Up on the far side, up underneath the bridge there, that's where the troll lives. Fremont Troll, you guys ever heard of him before? Okay, he's kind of a famous statue if you haven't heard of him. It's an 18-foot tall troll made out of concrete. He's devouring a full-size Volkswagen Bug with California license plates. Up underneath the bridge there, maybe you want to go see him out. All right. we're going to continue along a bit further. The next thing I'll talk about in just a couple minutes is going to be floating homes. So I'd like to tell you all about those in just a short while. But I just figure we can kind of enjoy the scenery just a tad bit longer as we head back here. Just for a couple minutes. Yeah. These views.
Sail to sea, and he told us of his life in the land submarine. So we sailed up to the sun till we found the sea of green. And we lived in our
You guys all excited for the submarine portion of the tour? Like I said, I wanted to talk about floating homes while we're out here. Many of them coming up on our right-hand side. The other one, of course, you know, the Sleepless House is one of them as well. The first thing that I always like to say, though, is that they are not houseboats. Okay? There's a difference between a floating home and a houseboat. The main reason I say that, though, is not just like a semantics issue. It's because I want to make it really clear that those aren't boats. Okay? They don't have motors, they don't move. Alright? They're built up on the water, they're attached to the ground. They don't even really float. They just call them floating homes because it looks like they float. And they're hooked up to city services as well. Gas, sewer, electric. Literally everything you'd have in a normal house just built out on the water. There's over 500 of them in the Seattle area, and between people who live in those houses there and people who live on their boats, they call those people liveaboards. More people live on the water in Seattle than anywhere outside of Asia. Interesting, right? All right, now, you guys want to know where I live? Check it out, actually, right over here on the right. Coming up on some sailboats in the line. First sailboat over there, the one with the brown cover on it. See that? Look like right behind it, to the right. See that one there, the house there? It's the one that's got the blue-green siding. I always call it turquoise. It's one story. It's got brown trim. Yeah. You guys all see it? Yeah. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, I live about 5 miles east of there. All right, there we go. In a dumpy little apartment in Bellevue. I was just using that as a reference point, right? Yeah, I thought that was obvious. Might not come as too much of a surprise to learn that it's kind of pricey to live on the water here. Median price for just 1,000 square feet on the water is about $500,000. Yeah. They definitely go way up in price from there as well, for sure. It's not cheap. Now on the right, next thing I point out is there's a green sailboat over there. Behind it, there's a brown house with chairs on the roof. There's a white rubber duck up there, if you can see her. If you look right to the left of that brown house, you guys all see that small blue-gray shack. Alright, what you're looking at right there is the smallest floating home in Seattle. It's 230 square feet. That makes it less square footage than the duck we're on right now. Believe it? Pretty much means if you bend over, you have to rearrange the furniture, right? Like I said, it's not cheap to live on the water here. That tiny, tiny spot for how small it is still rents for about $1,200 a month. Not just that, though, there's a waiting list to get in there, and it's about a mile long. people want to live there. You know what I mean? People want to live on the water. Kind of crazy. All right, guys. We're actually going to be kind of wrapping up things out on the water here rather shortly now. It's a pretty nice boat on our left, isn't it? We suppose they're headed to go pick up their food stamps. What do you think? Like I said, we are going to wrap up things out here on the water pretty shortly now. Maybe one last thing I'd like to mention, you know, there is a gigantic bridge out in front of us. If you didn't know, that's I-5. Interstate 5, of course, runs all the way from Canada down to Mexico. I've heard it's the only road you can say both A and Ole on, right? And behind it in that direction, straight back that way is where you find UW, University of Washington campus. You might see the purple W at the top of the building over there. Back behind that building is where the campus is located. That whole area of town is Seattle's U District. Another one of our sister ducks over here on the left in the way as we go by with migrants. With that though, I am going to start kind of taking us back to land as we head this direction. We're just a very short distance out of that channel we took out into the lake. Once again, I am going to have to stay off the mic as we head through here. I've got some Jimmy Buffett for us this time around. I said earlier, as always, feel free to talk about yourself, so I'm not going to stop you. And, you know, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. Yeah, for sure. But with that, guys, like I said, at this point, we are headed back.
Oh, that's the ice cream.
Ice cream
let's hear it. How was that? How was that union? Right on. Hey, I gotta tell you guys have been a great group. Thanks a lot for coming along with me today. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed the tour so far. We still have a bit more to see, though, for sure, on our way back. But I'd say it's just about time to get on the road again. On the road again. Actually, really quick, does everybody know what this here on the right is right here? It's actually a vending machine for boats. Yeah, I just have to put in like $15,000 worth of quarters. Totally true, totally true.